All right, we're very pleased to have Wally with us. I know you go by Wally because actually Vicky from ICRT has spoken with you on the phone before. So we know that you go by Wally, but we know you as Gotye. And thank you very much for joining us here today. Very first question, I don't know if you've experienced this phenomena in Asia and really in Taiwan, but in order to kind of assimilate or recognize you, a lot of times, or anybody here, they associate you with a movie star or something like that. So, I mean, if I show a picture of my family, it'll be like, oh, wow, your dad looks like Tom Hanks, or oh, wow, your mom looks like Marilyn Monroe. A lot of people, and this is a recent thing, a lot of people say that I look like you. When they see me, they do. Now with, obviously a little bit of success has reached everywhere. Now you really know you've hit the big time. A lot of people always say, hey, wow, you look like Gotye is what you do. Has anybody ever said, have you experienced that at all? Or has anybody compared you to looking like somebody?
I haven't had anyone here in Taiwan say, wow, you look like Terry from ICRT yet. But maybe that could change. I did have long hair for a while. You've got quite long locks there.
Yeah, exactly.
It was about a year and a half ago.
Specifically in the video, I think, with the right angle.
It was longer, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Let's talk about somebody that I used to know. I mean, we're not going to be able to ignore that song here. I would love to talk about other things, but let's just get to it. How important is that song to you, aside from the fact that it was a global phenomenon and millions of YouTube hits and all that? Talk about the song specifically. A lot of people are probably not talking about the song itself and just talking about the phenomenon. But how important is the song to you?
I'm still proud of the song. It hasn't sort of changed, I'm not sort of more proud of it because of the commercial success it's had. I'm still proud of it just as a piece of work. I think it's one of the stronger things I did on my last record. There are probably there's a handful of songs on the new record that stand out more for me as ones that I think are, more interesting, better, more accomplished, or maybe examples of a kind of music I'm hopefully pushing towards and that maybe I should pursue more strongly. Yeah, right. And so Somebody I Used to Know, I think, is one of them in terms of its simplicity and the leanness of the arrangement and the way it kind of unfolds as an arrangement. So yeah, I still perform it. I still enjoy performing it live.
Well, that was kind of my next question. Is it? Do you ever get a point where you're kind of sick of hearing it, or you're sick of playing it? It obviously garnered a lot of airplay and a lot of YouTube or anything like that. Is there any point where you go, oh, geez, not that one again?
I mean, you can tell the sense of anticipation from the crowd, and you know that there's a relationship maybe they have with the song, which can potentially change, the energy you have for where it comes in the set and how you perform it. But I haven't found that too much. I haven't felt like somehow the weight of its popularity changed my relationship to it as a piece of music, whether it's in my live show. I've got to say, I guess, when you make a record, because for me a lot of the hard work then is kind of on the recording side is done. The rest of the relationship I have with the music, other than as it gets out there in the media and as people start dissecting it and responding to it and maybe doing things like parodies and covers with it, really my main relationship with a piece of music that I've made after that is in the live forum. So
yeah, right.
In that regard, it's nice to kind of...
Have you seen the Walk of the Off the Earth thing? Obviously.
No, I
met
those guys too. So.
Yeah,
I met the drummer from he came to see my Sydney show, and that's a very clever film clip. It's great. It's a good version.
No kidding. Has this song, Somebody Used to Know, or maybe even the album at large, set the bar too high for, say, your next? I mean, this is obviously a huge song. Would you have rather had sort of spread the popularity of your music out over the next 3 albums, or?
I have said before that I probably would have happily traded in a good portion of the popularity that Somebody That I Used to Know has had. For some of the other stuff on my record to get a little bit more of a look in. But then, that said, Somebody That I Used to Know has brought a lot of interest to my other material, and I can tell there are a lot of people, whether I've been chatting to them directly on email or met them at shows or can tell in the audience in terms of people singing lyrics or, the response to other songs in the set, that I guess, Somebody That I Used to Know has been an entry point for a lot of people, and that they have discovered other things that they really, resonates with them.
What song represents Gotye the best? I mean, would it be the big hit, or is there another song specifically, or is there something that you do that's maybe not even on the record? I
don't know. I mean, I don't know if there is one song that really represents what I do. I guess that different songs represent different aspects of what I'm trying to do. Some are more similar than others. Maybe there's a song that was only on the Australian version of my last album called A Distinctive Sound that maybe that's actually, I would like it if that represents most of what I do. It doesn't have my voice on it, so it doesn't represent me as a vocalist or as a lyricist, but it's cobbled together from hundreds of different little samples, and it goes through lots of different movements, and I think it's actually one of the best tracks I've made, but it wasn't put out overseas on different versions of our last album, so it's actually probably not known by many of my fans. So maybe that's one fans, who have discovered the newer music can go back and check out online.
Well, it's an interesting point. Let's look ahead to your next record when that's out. You're going to try and follow the same thing in the sense that try and be the same in the sense that you want to be different on all your tracks. Does that make any sense to you?
I had the same thing with this album. I mean, I kind of started making this record going, is it actually repeating myself to make another album where every song is kind of, it goes in a different direction? Yeah. Even if none of those songs are maybe do resemble anything on my previous album, just by pure virtue of making by pure virtue of making a kind of mixed bag record, is that in a sense repeating myself?
Exactly.
Yeah. It feels like a bit of a catch-22. So I don't know. I must say, when I started making stuff for this record, I kind of had it in my head that I should try to make an album that was more aesthetically consistent. And I kind of started a few things that I thought maybe were the blueprint for that more consistent sound world that I would explore for the whole record. But then I just kind of got a bit bored and didn't think I could really extend one idea or one sound world to keep myself interested even across a record. So
yeah, right.
It just happens that way.
You've probably ended up touring a lot more than maybe you thought you would have when you first recorded, obviously. How far has that pushed back the next record or the next projects?
Potentially a bit, by a year or more. Don't know. I've never really very successfully written new music while on tour. So we've toured consistently pretty much for 2 years now on this album, and I haven't written anything new.
Yeah, right.
So, but then, I don't know, I mean, I put my last record, Like Drawing Blood, out in Australia in 2006, and this record came out in 2011 in Australia. So it's a 5-year difference between records. The first 2.5 to 3 years of that time between albums was spent both touring Like Drawing Blood around the world, but also putting out 2 or 3 records with my other band, The Basics. So there were other projects that also kind of just took time to invest.
Excellent.
So I don't know with this one. I guess if I start making another album soon, maybe I'll have something finished in a year or more, but excellent. I hoped that record would only take me a year, and it took me 2.5 years. So.
I know you don't get a lot of time in a lot of the cities that you travel to, but just very quickly, if there's any first impression you get of Taiwan, maybe it's not Taiwan specifically or Asia at large, if you have to. I know you haven't been here that long and won't be here that long, but any first impressions here in Taiwan? Anything that's different from somewhere else you've been? The performance aside.
Yeah. Well, I mean, driving from the airport yesterday, I was struck by how little neon and lights there were on in buildings, which is kind of nice. So sort of, I don't know, sunset, a bit hazy in the distance. It was, yeah, I don't know. I felt quite, engaged by kind of the feeling of this urban sprawl sort of couched in what felt like a big forest in a valley.
Yeah, right.
Which is what it felt like driving from the airport to me, especially with multi-lane, different levels of freeway around. So it felt different to other Asian cities I've entered like that.
Yeah, well,
wandering around last night, I don't know. I mean, there's some things that make feel a little bit like Tokyo, where I've been quite a bit before, and Seoul in Korea. Otherwise, I'm not really sure. Like you said, I haven't had a lot of time to wander around. So,
yeah, right. You're going to come back and revisit some of these cities when you're not on tour?
I'd like to, yeah. I really wish we went to Seoul on this trip as well, because I wanted to go back there. We only got about the same time as we'll have here in Taiwan, like a day, on the last tour to explore there, and it's really not enough time to explore anything. So I took a wander before to 101. Didn't realise our hotel was so close to that massive building. You can see it out the window here right now. But I didn't have time to go up it, so it'd be nice to maybe get up the top there and take in Taipei from the top.
The one thing that'll freak you out is the amount of yellow, the amount of cabs
that are
around. But Taiwan is a very green country.
Yeah, it is beautiful how much there. It does feel like there are a lot of trees around. And
all right, just lastly, is all this touring that you've done, because I mean, obviously it's been pretty extensive on this record, is all this touring gonna help the writing process for the next record, the next Gotye record, if it's gonna be a Gotye record? I mean, I know you do lots of different things. Is it gonna help, or is it gonna hinder, having to have taken 2 years off and being away from any sort of writing or recording process? Maybe either you'll get in and be rusty, or maybe you'll get in and be fresh. What do you kind of anticipate? And part B to that question, when do you anticipate that might be?
I think it'll be both. Yeah, I'll be both feeling out of my depth and also quite excited to be making new music. It's sort of what happens every time that I take some time off and come back. I realise I don't feel like I remember how to write a song or how to, how to nut things out, recording things in my studio. I've got to sort of learn everything again a little bit. Or kind of, maybe start using new pieces of equipment and learn them from scratch. It's a good platform towards doing something different. I don't know, for touring, I think the good thing that's come from touring, especially in the last year, is that there's been wonderful things happening with some of the arrangements of my songs through the creativity of the guys in my band. And I would love to open up things that I make in the studio to a process of collaborating with them. And that's not something I really did, even though I kind of wanted to on this last album. I think that could really benefit the new album in terms of having a liver feel, more interesting performance, and just ideas that aren't only mine, just other people's contributions that I guess I can sort of, take in or take parts of and produce, in that regard still. But just other things that mean that I might be able to do more surprising.
So it'd be fair to say
changes.
Some of these songs from the record have kind of taken on a new life then over the past 2 years?
Yeah, I mean, some are very faithful to the album and the previous album. We play them live. Others have a great energy, I think, that is not present on the album, which is unfortunate. I listen to some songs on the record now and kind of go, I really wish I'd played more instruments myself or with, the guys in my band.
Yeah, right.
Because it would have had more the right kind of energy that the song needed, whereas with samples, it can sometimes feel a bit samply,
Excellent.
It is what it is. So.
Excellent. Well, Wally, listen, thanks so much for taking the time to chat with us. It's Wally, it's Gotye here, and he's in Taipei. Great show here in Taipei. We're looking forward to it.
Thanks, Terry.
Excellent. Thanks so much.